little content warning. There's quite a bit of vulgarity in this episode. Listener discretion is definitely advised. An anthology on the bad, the short-lived, and forgotten shows and events in television history. You are listening to It Was a Thing on TV.
Now, Shotty LaRue from my son's favorite show on CBS, which was just picked up again, Frank's Place.
This is our apology for Shangri-La Plaza last week. Thanks for forgiving us. Episode 564, submission number 1839. Temperatures Rising. Temperatures Rising aired on ABC from September 12th of 1972 to August 29th of 1974 for 46 episodes. What? That's a long run for this podcast. It's no new Munsters, though, since you guys decided to cover 4 seasons of that. I wasn't here for that episode. Tee-hee-hee.
That's the Munsters today, not the new Munsters.
Whatever. The new Munsters, or the Munsters today, it had 4 seasons and like 80 episodes. And yeah, I'm editing that. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be here for like 7 hours. And yeah, I know we covered it because John Shuck and because of Lee Merriweather, but good heavens. I would have packed along a razor if I knew it had taken that long to edit it, because I probably had to shave once or twice.
Well, half the episodes, half the seasons, all you need now is a light lunch.
You know, it's a good thing that I wasn't on the podcast then when you were doing the Munsters today.
You and David Lee Roth both. What would you have added to the Munsters today? And that's the exact correct answer. You would have added nothing, Ghost of Bill Armstrong.
Yeah, there's no hustle and bustle at Universal Monsters.
And I don't think Lee Merriweather or John Shuck ever played any sort of game that you announced on. Don't think they're on Liars Club. They certainly as heck weren't on the new Liars Club or the Real Picture Show or even Yahtzee for that matter.
Oh, don't get me started on that shit with Yahtzee.
Did you at least get paid?
I don't remember if I got paid or not, Mike.
Because it was on for like 5 weeks. Hey, as much as I love talking to you, Ghost of Bill Armstrong, we do have an episode to talk about here. And we haven't even done the theme music yet, so let's pop that in here. Oh, guys, we're talking about a comedy that probably wouldn't be covered on this podcast under normal circumstances. Maybe because this show, I don't think has rerun anywhere, or at least in the recent past, talking like last 20 years. There's one reason we're covering this. Paul Lynde, if he was still with us, would be celebrating his 99th birthday. Or rather, the 30th anniversary of his really nice birthday.
Could you imagine, guys, if Paul Lynde made it to June 13th, 1995? It would be remembered for 2 things. First, it would be my parents' 24th wedding anniversary. And second, it would be the 69th birthday of Paul Lynde.
I almost want to ask, which one are you prouder of? That it would have been your parents' 24th anniversary or the 69th birthday of Paul Lynde. Both huge events, don't get me wrong, but, you know, where in 1995 would 11-year-old Greg have ranked it? Would Paul Lynde's 69th birthday have been more important than the anniversary, Or would he have shown more dedication to his family by saying, hey, mom and dad, happy 24th anniversary. Oh, by the way, as a little side note, you know that Paul Lynde guy, he would have been 69 years old today.
Happy 69.
Again, the perfect answer.
I would have said, yeah, the guy from Hollywood Squares is now 69 years old.
And then your dad would say, I didn't know Jim J. Bullock is 69 years old.
You know what? Knowing Dad, he'd probably say that.
I did not know your dad was a John Davidson Hollywood Squares type of guy.
No, he's a Jim J. Bullock type of guy.
Oh, okay. That makes a little more sense, I think. Oh, my gosh.
Interesting you mentioned that, because Paul Lynde would have been on the air at the same time as this show.
The first season, at least, but there's a reason for that. We'll get to that when we get to the middle of it. So, Mike, can you describe to us what this show is about?
The simple version is hilarity ensues in a hospital. Really, that's what it is. It's in a fictional hospital in Washington, D.C., and you have the antics of the interns and nurses at this hospital. The name of the hospital is the Capital General Hospital. And the person who runs everything, the supervisor, is a very no-nonsense type of person. So it almost sounds kind of like CPO Sharkey if you think about it a little bit. You've got CPO Sharkey and his subordinates doing goofy things, and you've got the people above them, above CPO Sharkey and his crew, who are like no-nonsense military leaders. Problem is, I can't go terribly deep into this because, again, there's not much footage online of this series. I believe Greg said there's one episode on the YouTubes. So we may have to go by the seat of our pants here when talking about this show. And actually, this show, 2 seasons we talked about, it apparently went through 3 different iterations. We'll get to the big one between season 1 and season 2, but apparently there was a third sort of concept as sort of last-ditch effort when the show returned for its final few episodes in summer of 1974. So we'll go through that, and it's 3 iterations as we go through this episode. But let's talk about who everybody is in the Capital General Hospital.
Not that General Hospital.
No, this is Capital General Hospital, not the one with Luke and Laura. No.
No, we're not in Port Charles. Oh, wait. Speaking of, can we mention that the one episode of Canon on MeTV had Tony Geary in it?
And who else did it have? Because it wasn't just Tony Geary. There were 2 other names.
Oh, Clu Gallagher.
Clu Gallagher, yeah.
And Terry Kaiser.
Yes, that's right. I sent you the picture because I was watching it yesterday and I said, guess who this celebrity is? And Greg chimes in with, hey, it's Bernie. And it's like, I did not think it was that glaringly obvious that it was Terry Kaiser. Getting back to who's actually in this series, playing Dr. Jerry Noland. Give him about 2 years and he'll say maybe the most famous line and play the most famous role of his life, talking about Cleavon Little, Bart in Blazing Saddles. Where are the white women at? I can't really do that. It would sound more appropriate if it was done in like a Nipsey Russell voice. One of the absolute, well, I shouldn't say one of the absolute great moments in Blazing Saddles. There's just so many great moments in Blazing Saddles. But that's definitely his most popular role, at least in my mind. Playing student nurse Ellen Turner is Nancy Fox. And looking at her IMDb, Temperatures Rising is on her known for section, so you know what that means? She's not known for anything else. Just going through her IMDb. Hey, hold on a second. She was on regular General Hospital for 6 episodes back in 1978 and 79. So we actually have somebody in Capital General Hospital and Proper General Hospital. But besides that, she did 4 episodes of The Doctors, not the series in the mid-70s, but The Doctors in 1969.
Nice.
I didn't mention that Paul Lynde would have turned a certain age 30 years ago, but I appreciate the effort.
Happy 69.
She was also in 5 episodes of Charlie's Angels. So it makes sense that her known for on IMDb has Temperatures Rising. This next one, I know Greg has probably got some stuff to say. Playing Nurse Annie Carlisle, and this was for just the first season, one of Greg's favorites, and I think one of all of our favorites, Joan Van Ark.
Yes.
What is the name of the character she plays on Knots Landing?
Fuck, now I gotta think about it. Okay, it's Valine. It's Valine, Clements, Ewing, Gibson, whatever the fuck Danny's last name is, Ewing.
It's Valine, Clements, Ewing, Gibson, Waleska, Ewing. We
Waleska.
practiced this.
No, wait, I was going to say Greg's blanking on the name when he's seen like 270 episodes. Have you not been paying any attention to the show? But I'm going to forgive Greg because I hope she had like a shorter name because if she signed that on her checks, she would probably develop arthritis like immediately.
If Valine, Clements, Ewing, Gibson, Valeska, Ewing had to write that entire name on the check, that would be like insane. Okay, now I said to you guys I have an amazing discovery related to Joan Van Ark, so let's play the Amazing Discoveries music.
Now here's the host of Amazing Discoveries, Mike
Klaus.
With Greg Diener.
Joan Van Ark in 1977-78 played a female detective in an episode of Kojak. So you know what that means, Chico?
Means she was with Telly Savalas, who is the godfather of Nicolette Sheridan.
He was actually the stepfather of Nicolette Sheridan, but close enough, Chico.
I'm trying to remember the relationship between Paige Matheson and Val Ewing. It's not coming to me.
They have no relation.
There you go.
Remember, Paige is Mac's daughter. But
Mac's illegitimate daughter, thank you very much.
Yes, but the thing I gotta mention is Joan Van Ark was on Kojak with Kevin Dobson 4 years before Kevin Dobson was on Knots Landing.
I was hoping there'd be a Kevin Dobson connection here. Kraka, kraka. Well, I mean, that's how Terry Savalas used to say his name. Kraka, kraka.
Did you say Terry Savalas?
No, I said Telly Savalas.
I thought you said Terry Savalas.
If I did, well, that's just Telly Savalas bought on Temu, I think. That actually, and Greg and Chico know this, I have asked them for a couple weeks. I need to find a show to binge over the summer. And I think Kojak might be an option. I don't want to do canon because, you know, this is too obvious. And I don't want to do Barnaby Jones because that's too obvious. And I really want to do Adam 12, but that's 7 seasons. That's like 170 episodes. MeTV shows 2 a day. FETV shows, I think, at least 2 a day. I don't know if I can get through 170 episodes in 2 months. But Kojak, I know that's on Get TV. That might be an option. I know that's 5 seasons. I'm probably not going to get through all of it, but that's an idea.
Oh, hold on. Every episode is streaming on Tubi.
There we go. You just saved me a lot of heartache if they didn't get through the entire series of Kojak. If it's like anything else, I'm going to give up on the binge within the first week. So don't come back next week and be like, hey, how many episodes of Kojak did Mike see? The answer is probably going to be like 0. The answer is probably going to be Mike stopped after seeing the sweet-ass animation for the Kojak Open. It's like, oh, you see the Kojak Rising and in this 3D form, and then you have Kojak there. It's like, okay, I'm done. I just wanted to see that little 3D animation come up from like the dead, and you've got the towers of New York City or whatever in the background. That's it. I'm done with Kojak.
See, I suggested Matlock, and you were like, "Which one?" And I was like, "Yes."
Well, no, I'm not watching the new Matlock because I don't have Paramount Plus, and I'm not really into the new Matlock. And also, the old Matlock, I'm not even into the old Matlock. I'm only into the episode The Black Widow from season 3, where Twyla Tharp, where the hell did that come from? Where
Yeah, Dance on the Brain. That's what it was.
I don't know where the hell that came from, but the one where Twyla Littleton was the lingerie store customer and Mac's mom is the salesperson at the lingerie store. And she actually looked decent. She didn't look like the horrid piece of crap that she looks like on It's Always Sunny. Now, seriously, between 1989 and 2005, what the hell happened? She aged horribly.
Part of that was probably just makeup.
No, she still looks horrible. I mean, I understand hitting a brick wall when you hit a certain age, and that age, if you look at me, clearly isn't 50, but dang, whatever age she was back in 2005, which probably wasn't a whole heck of a lot more than 50, dang, she had a rough life from 89 to 2005. And I'm checking really fast. I do want to see what her age is because she's got to be somewhere in her 70s at this point. And I would just absolutely like die inside if she started playing Mac's mom when she was 50. And I know, It's Always Sunny started 20 years ago at this point. Think about that. But no, she had to be at least like, I'm hoping, if it's 55, I don't want to age that badly in the next 5 years. I'm just saying that much. Her age isn't on friggin' Wikipedia. What the hell? Now I need to go to IMDb. You better show her age.
I love that we'd rather talk about this than Temperatures Rising, and we got 2 seasons to talk about.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. 2 things. 56 years old when It's Always Sunny started. So, if I age that badly in 6 years, heaven help me. But also, she shares the same birthday as me, March 3rd. She was born March 3rd of 49.
Oh. So how old is she now?
76.
Oh my God. Well, you know what that means. In 2019, she had a nice birthday.
Happy 69.
I knew you were going to do that. I just didn't want to walk into the trap. Wait, Greg, you said in 2019? She would have been 70. Do the math. She was born in 49. So in 2018, she would have had a good birthday. I'm sorry, a nice birthday.
Okay. I'm just thinking because my parents are both 75. So it's like my mind is still stuck in 2024.
It's okay. But yeah, re-emphasizing what Greg said, we'd rather talk about how old Mrs. Mack is than this series. But no, we've really sort of deviated from talking about Joan Van Ark, and we need to right the ship.
Yeah. Even though we could have talked about the Leaf Pop Century card art of Joan Van Ark, I now have. Now.
You got a Leaf Pop Century card of her? I didn't know that.
I posted it on the Instagram. I got it at the Hofstra Card Show.
I pay attention to the Instagram. Jeez. I know that's such a glowing review of the Instagram for our listeners, but I didn't know that. Getting back on track, playing Nurse Mildred McInerney, and this is first season again, is Reva Rose. Again, known for Temperatures Rising. Thank you, IMDb. But she's actually had quite a lengthy career. The last thing she did was Girls' Night In, whatever that is, back in 2021. Playing the no-nonsense chief of staff of the hospital, Dr. Vincent Campanelli, is James Whitmore. Maybe the biggest thing on his IMDb is he was in the Shawshank Redemption. Brooks Hatlin. And really looking at his IMDb, he's another one of those people that outside of this series didn't do much of anything. Just taking a look really fast, he was on 4 episodes of The Word back in 1978, whatever that is.
Well, I know what it is. It's the bird, because as we all know, the bird is the word.
Oh gosh, I was not expecting that. I thought you were legitimately going to say, "Oh, The Word." It's some sort of like mini series or series about the Bible, but no, you come in with this right hook and say, "No, The Word is the bird." Oh my gosh!
Now, the best of all is Surfing Bird by the Trashmen came up on an SNY Mets broadcast, and Gary Cohen brought up the fact that Peter Griffin loves that song.
Now, there's Bird is the Word by the Trashmen, and there's the Bird is the Word by the Ramones. But the original concept for Bird is the Word was the song Papa Umau Mau by the Rivingtons in 1962.
You're making Richard Neer's day right now. Richard's down in South Carolina, and I know he's watching, and he loves when we bring up music.
Now, some people are partial to Peter Griffin singing Bird is the Word.
I know the one that's
Family Guy.
Yes,
Peter Griffin.
Oh.
He was also on 4 episodes of Gunsmoke between 1965 and 1973, and The Virginian for 4 episodes. So apparently he got around on the Western circuit back in the day. Actually, I see something called My Friend Tony from 1969, where he was on for 16 episodes. And 4 episodes of The Big Valley. So apparently he does 4 episodes of just about every Western. The Word, as I sort of interpreted it, was just about right. A document is discovered that appears to be an ancient eyewitness account of the life of Jesus Christ. A PR executive is hired to publicize this document as a new version of the Bible, but he finds himself enmeshed in controversy and intrigue. And whatever this is, I don't think it's a miniseries. I think this is a full-fledged series. He was on all 4 episodes, James Whitmore. Good on you. Oh, hold on. I'm going through the cast of this show. There's some names on this show. Kate Mulgrew. So this is before Kate Loves a Mystery and Mrs. Columbo. And David Jansen's on this. Eddie Albert's on this. But the one big name that I'm saving for last, Diana Muldaur was on this. So you know what that means? That means the word for Diana Muldaur is, watch your step.
I really don't want to talk about it.
Oh my God! Let's go through a few more characters because we have one big name who's the reason why we're here, but we got a few more names that we're going to talk about. Playing Dr. Paul Mercy is the man himself, the reason why we're here, Paul Lynde. We all remember him from the Paul Lynde Show, and nothing else, except for being in the center square for a certain show.
Are we just going to ignore Uncle Arthur on Bewitched?
I don't want to, but the thing is, Uncle Arthur, he wasn't on all that often. It says 11 episodes on IMDb. But Uncle Arthur is actually a good role to choose. But also, we talked about him in Where's Huddles a year and a half ago, roughly, when we did the Super Bowl show back in 2024. And also, again, how could we miss Uncle Arthur? How could we miss the hooded claw on the Perils of Penelope Pit Stop? Okay, apparently we can miss the hooded claw on the Perils of Penelope Pit Stop. I've seen the reruns on MeTV Tunes. He's there. We'll go through a few more names. Actually, there's a lot of names here because, again, there's 3 iterations of this show. Even the people now, we're going to talk about that last iteration who it appears were on 13 episodes. They came in right at sort of that halfway point of season 2 where iteration 2 turned into iteration 3. Or maybe I should use Doctor Who lingo. Regeneration number 2. From the 2nd Doctor to the 3rd. And it's a hospital, so it works really well. Talking about doctors getting regenerated.
Well, if it was today, we wouldn't know what the fuck the order is now with friggin' doctors now.
They broke all the rules when they said, hey, the doctor can regenerate more than, 12, 13 times. We can have a 14th and a 15th doctor. So rules went out the window, 8 years ago, 10 years ago?
Pretty much when they decided to go with Peter Capaldi for 14.
Even though technically he's the 12th, even though now David Tennant is like two different doctors, even though he's the same character.
And don't even get me started about Billy Piper.
Do you consider John Hurt to be a doctor?
Yes.
But he doesn't count in the numbering.
He's the war doctor.
Just want to see where you stood on that. Okay. Playing Martha Mercy in this series, and gosh, I think we'll need Mercy after talking about this series, is Sudie Bond.
Was she James Bond's sister?
No, but what she was in Johnny Dangerously, playing Mary Margaret Catherine Deneen in her last role. That was 1984, and she passed away in November of 1984. But again, just a lot of little bit roles, nothing terribly long. Episode of Benson. Oh, we did talk about her previously because she played Mama Velma Castleberry in Flow. And really, besides Temperatures Rising and Flow, that's about the extent of her IMDb. Next, and again, this is another person who came in apparently at the third iteration, playing Miss Tillis, is Barbara Cason. Gary Shandling's mom on the Gary Shandling Show. I can't tell what the other guys are feeling, but I am beaming from one cheek to the other, talking about Gary Shandling's mom on It's Gary Shandling Show. One of the best theme songs ever. We did talk about her previously, and the name rang a bell, but I forgot where, besides It's Gary Shandling Show. She played Cloris Phoebus on Carter Country. One of those episodes that we should have just never talked about. Oh, that was a painful episode.
Remember when I randomly decided I'm going to take a nap during the episode?
And you're all the wiser for doing that. 3 more names, because everybody else after this point was on less than 13 episodes. Playing Nurse Wendy Winchester is Jennifer Darling. She's more of a voice actress, especially over the last 30 to 35 years. She provided voices in Aladdin, Hercules, The Iron Giant, Curious George, the TV series, not the movie. She provided voices in video games, cartoon video games, actually. Garfield's Fun Fest. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a winner. And the Kung Fu Panda video game. So she's essentially that person who does cartoon voices for either TV or for video games. And actually, it goes beyond that because she voiced Mama, I'm guessing the main character's mother in this series, in 32 episodes of Hello Kitty's Paradise. And that's the first and last time we are ever going to talk about Hello Kitty on this podcast. Playing Dr. Lloyd Axton is Jeff Morrow. And again, he's in the final iteration, the last 13 episodes it does appear.
Mike, it would be the middle 13 episodes because it was pulled in the middle of the second season for further retooling for another 9 episodes.
We will cover the people who are on 9 episodes at the end of season 2 in that third retooling before we get to the guest cast. But getting back to Jeff Morrow, I've got to find something he was in. And the answer to that is absolute squadoosh. The only thing of note that I see for Jeff Morrow is he played Art McClelland in 38 episodes of Union Pacific back in 1958 and 59. I'm putting money on that being another Western. But besides that and Temperatures Rising, he really didn't do much. I see he was in 3 episodes of Perry Mason back in 62 and 63. But he did an episode here, he did an episode there, 2 episodes here, appeared in some movies, but nothing really overwhelming. Playing Dr. Charles Cleveland Claver, I also read it as Dr. Charles Cleveland Cavalier. That shows where my mind is. And again, this is in the second iteration, is John Dehner, or Dehner, Dehner. He played Henry Luce in The Right Stuff.
Ooh, The Right Stuff.
Yeah, one of those movies we really do appreciate from back in the day.
I have the special edition Blu-ray of it, and I will say it is long overdue for a 4K Blu-ray release.
I'm surprised it hasn't been released like that. I'm sorry, that was a big movie back in '83.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about Ed Harris like a while ago. That's probably like one of his best roles is in John Glenn in that movie.
Among other things he did, he was on Enos. Yeah, the spinoff of Dukes of Hazzard that we've referenced in the past. 18 episodes, he played Lieutenant Joseph Brogy. Also, he was on The Doris Day Show, where he played Cyril Bennett from 1971 to 1973. We've only got one name of a person who was in 9 episodes, and actually this doesn't appear to be a person who was in that third iteration because all this person's episodes were in 1973. Playing Haskell, I think this guy's in the Hall of Fame. If this guy's not in the Hall of Fame, we got to get him in there soon. Jerry Hauser. We talked about him plenty of times. Slapshot is the big one that comes to mind. But I think this is at least like the 4th or 5th time we've talked about him in some capacity. Now that we've got like whatever that was, 20 cast members taken care of, now we get to go into a lot of episodes. As I said, there are 46. Might want to grab a bite to eat. We could be here a little while. Episode 1 of Season 1 is titled Operation Bingo. In a hospital, one of its best doctors plans to resign because he needs to help his father. So Jerry Noland, another doctor, and 3 nurses decide to hold a bingo night so that they can raise enough money to help the doctor's father so that he would have to resign. And they try to keep the whole thing from Dr. Campanelli, the hospital's by-the-book chief of staff, because you don't want to gamble on company time or at least have the bigwigs at the company know about it, even if it's a nonprofit hospital. A little advance warning. Things go way off the rails, and as always, none of this is scripted. What you're going to hear happen in real time, no editing. Enjoy a certain somebody having a brain fart. We got a huge name, and this is a name that, well, he would have been reasonably big in 1972, but he would get bigger like a year or two later. Playing Senator Farnstock, Jack Albertson, the man. Was also Grandpa in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So this would have been like right in the middle of those two. 70 would have been Willy Wonka, and no, not Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Because Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was the Johnny Depp piece of trash.
No, you got it right the first time.
Yes.
Is it? Okay, never mind then. That'll be edited out. This would be right between Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in 1970 and
Willy Wonka. No, it's Willy Wonka.
Oh, I had it right the first time. Damn it.
It's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in
okay.
71.
Okay.
I'm not yelling.
No, I know, but he had a fucking chocolate factory. That's all I know. Okay. So, at this time, 1972, Jack Albertson would be between... I almost said Willy Wonka again. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
It's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate.
God damn it! Is this staying in?
Okay.
Yes,
No. Okay.
Okay. At this time in 1972, Jack Albertson is right between Willy Wonka. Damn it! Okay, I'm breaking up laughing. I'm sorry, Charlie. At this time in 1972, Jack Albertson is between Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Damn it! Did it? I had it right when I said. Okay,
you had it right the first time, man.
Damn. Okay. This may go unedited. I'm fully serious about this.
We could just release this as a segment on
This could be like one of the best of outtakes that you've talked about for ages.
Greg, keep this as a director's cut.
Well, no, like I said, this may make the final cut, but we'll try it again for like the 7th time. I've got literally a friggin' 50-50 chance each time, and I keep hitting tails instead of heads. Okay.
All right, Mike.
Willy Wonka. I got it.
I'm trying to help you out, bro.
Well, I got it. Watch me say Willy Wonka or Charlie just to piss you off. See, I even screwed that up. Okay. In 1972, Jack Albertson is right between Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1970. Round of applause.
Oh, wait, hold on. You got the year it was released wrong. It was out in 71.
For fuck's sake! I thought it was 1970. Okay, I'm going to throw this microphone through the window in a second. Okay. At this point, Jack... Oh, God.
This is like me... Hold on. Time out. This is like me with The Winds of Whoopi.
Well, no, but the thing is, it didn't take you 8 or 9 tries to get it right because you've been saying the wrong damn name, and then once you get it right, you said the wrong damn year. That wasn't you. So now, take 9 or 10, or I stopped counting once it got to double digits. Okay. At this time in 1972, Jack Albertson is right between Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Damn it, I did it again!
Just read the chat, Mike! Just read the chat!
I'm not in the chat. Okay.
Open it then!
No, stop. Okay. Take 11. Oh. At this point in 1972, Jack... we can't do it because it's so dang stupid. All right. Breathe. Okay. I am one with the IMDb. Okay. At this point in 1972... At this point in 1972, Jack Albertson is right between Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971 and Chico and the Man, which would have been 73, 74. I think it was like 73. So it's right in the middle. The two big roles of his career.
Man, can you imagine if we had taken like 20 takes to do that bit?
I could do 8 or 9 more flubs if you want me to.
No. Some of us have to go to sleep.
After that, I think I need to go to sleep. All right. Hey, we're going to episode 2 finally. Man, this might be a marathon recording session. Stay tuned for all 17 hours of this episode. All right, episode 2, Operation Fastball. Dr. Jerry Nolan performs an unauthorized operation on a young pitcher's arm. It unfortunately occurs during an investigation of the department's practices. I did not know Dr. Jerry Nolan innovated the Tommy John surgery.
Well, remember, this is 1972. If a pitcher got injured with their arm, they were fucked.
Oh, they were boned. You're absolutely right about that. We got some names in this episode. We'll start off with Mr. Lattimore, who's played by Gordon Jump.
Let's hope there's no bike shops around the hospital.
Oh, I was waiting for you to say something about turkeys. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I was waiting for you to say something about turkeys.
Oh, no, please, Chico, you screwed that up. Let's do 17 takes with you trying to say turkey.
Turkey? Turkey? Turkey!
That's the worst version of Joker's Wild ever. Come on, turkeys! Turkeys! Geography. But that's not the only name in this episode. Playing Senator Bradley is Edward Platt, the chief from Get Smart. He's Maxwell Smart's boss. Episode 3 is titled The Appointment. The staff devises a wacky scheme to keep the gruff but lovable Dr. Campanelli from quitting. Oh, this is the first instance of hilarity ensues. I can tell just by that little summary. A wacky scheme. Ha 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 ha. Again, we got 3 names in this episode. Oh, this is just jam-packed with guests to start off with. Playing Charlie Brinks is David Huddleston.
He played Santa Claus in the movie of the same name.
If that's where you really want to go with it.
He's freaking Lebowski in The Big Lebowski.
That was the right answer. In addition, playing Mrs. Moskowitz is Charlotte Ray. Girls, girls, girls. Plus also she played Tootie's wife on Car 54, Where Are You? Which doesn't get enough appreciation, I think. It had Joey Ross and it had Fred Gwynn before he became Herman Munster. The last name, playing Dr. Pangloss, is Dick Wilson. Given what we know about Dick Wilson, gosh, let's hope he's not a drunk doctor. I'm going to do surgery. Cuts somebody open and accidentally amputates their wrong limb or something like that. Not that I know anything about amputations. All right, let's move on to episode 4, which is called Ellen's Flip Side. Holy crap, Jaleel White was doing this back in 1972? Well, it's Ellen's Flip Side. So maybe Ellen DeGeneres was doing Flip Side. I don't know. Let's find out. Staff and patients are caught up in a numbers game, and a hypnotized nurse is making a play for every doctor she encounters. Woo! We have 3 names in this episode. First, playing Mrs. Lindsay is Alice Ghostly. We've definitely talked about her in the past. She was on Designing Women. Bernice Clifton. And I think last time we talked about her, I said she was on like Maude as like Maude's housekeeper, and I think it wasn't Alice Ghostly, it was like Hermione Baddeley that I was thinking of. But Alice Ghostly is one of those people. You've seen her on many things. Second name, playing Dr. Joyner, is John Stevenson. Not really known for being an actor. We've talked about him in the past. Where I know John Stevenson from is he voiced Fancy on Top Cat, which is my cartoon Wings. I'm not starting anything new. It's my cartoon Wings. It absolutely made Arnold Stang's career. The third name, playing an orderly, is Rick Hurst. He played Cletus Hogg on The Dukes of Hazzard. Moving on to episode 5, The Muscle and the Medic. John Astin stars as a hypochondriac hood, and nurses dodge his henchmen. Noland is selected to be Mr. Big's personal physician in Brazil. John Astin is a hypochondriac hood. I have nothing to say there. That's just absolutely amazing. And that hood's name is Russo. Boy, that's not Italian stereotyping there.
This is the only episode available on YouTube, by the way. And yes, whatever you think about it, Mike, you are correct.
It just sounds uncomfortable. I'm not even going to take a look at it. We do have one other name of note besides John Astin. Playing Charlie in this episode is Chuck McCann. We talked about him not that long ago because he was Tim Conway's sidekick when we did the live show of Dorf de Bingo King. Episode 6 is titled The Accident Con. Dr. Nolan suspects that a man claiming to be hit by a hospital ambulance is faking it. We do have one guest of note playing Harry, who probably is the man who claimed to get hit by that hospital ambulance, played by Sorrel Book, Boss Hogg himself. Episode 7 is called Good Luck Lefkowitz. Harold Lefkowitz, an orderly who joins the hospital, has a reputation of being a jinx because wherever he goes, something happens. And it goes on when he arrives. And everybody is worried if they can survive. This episode has a couple of big names. Playing that Howard Lefkowitz, this is like a perfect role for this person, given what he did previously and even a little bit after. Bernie Capel. I'm thinking specifically of Siegfried on Get Smart, but also I'm thinking when he was Alan Adale on When Things Were Rotten. I don't know, it just seems like that's the type of role that he'd play before he got all serious with the Love Boat.
He was serious with the Love Boat?
More serious than Get Smart and When Things Were Rotten, let's say. Playing Miss Brandon in this episode is Jane Meadows. Mrs. Steve Allen, I don't think we need to say much more than that. And we're not. We're going to just go to the next episode. Episode 8 is titled Tenor loving care. Not tender loving care, tenor loving care. Dr. Campanelli is sued for malpractice when he tells off a patient. The man, a temperamental opera singer, loses his voice and blames the irascible physician for his problem. There's nobody of note in this episode, so we're going to just hop over to episode 9, which is titled RX Love. Who's getting a prescription for love? Let's find out. Nolan tries to get Campanelli to lighten up, and he thinks he needs a woman, so Annie and Mildred try to set him up with girls they know, but they don't interest him. But it's Ellen's aunt who catches his interest, and he's happy. At least till she tells him that she has to go to Europe. We have one name in this episode, and that is Beverly Garland, who played Claudia. And Beverly Garland, just an absolute legend. She's been in so much stuff. I'm not even going to spend time going over what she's done. Episode 10 is titled Lights, Camera, Action. The hospital becomes the subject for a documentary filmmaker, and Dr. Campanelli develops a case of stage fright. Jack Albertson returns as Senator Farmstick, and he's really the only name that we have in this episode. So we're going to march forward to episode 11, Witchcraft Washington Style. Wait, the government's in Washington. Is that the witchcraft they're talking about? Oh, never mind. Dr. Nolan is a patient who believes in the dark arts and needs an operation. The physician uses trickery to get the person through his medical procedure.
So wait, is this going to be like the game Operation?
Does that involve trickery in any way? You're just taking a pair of tweezers and pulling out a rubber band and a little plastic bone and a little broken heart. Not really trickery there. Maybe if like your sister shakes the game while you're trying to get that broken heart out of there. I don't know if this person is the patient who needs the surgery or somebody else, but playing George, another person we've talked about plenty of times in the past, Alan Oppenheimer. Skeletor. That's it. That's the list. I mean, he's done a lot more than that, but that's what I think most everybody knows him for. And he voiced Jerry in the most recent Tom and Jerry series? I didn't know Jerry had a voice, but I'm sure whatever studio did that said, hey, Jerry's got to have a voice. He hasn't had a voice in 80 years. So they screwed up that franchise probably.
If it's at latest, that would be Hanna-Barbera.
But I'm talking about with all the mergers and acquisitions and just the way that the different studios operate nowadays. Yeah, this isn't the Hanna-Barbera under Hanna and Barbera. No, this is Hanna and Barbera under some probably bigger tent like, I almost said AOL Time Warner, which shows the last time I even cared to look into the ownership of Hanna-Barbera or whatever. But still, I mean, it's 2025 and they're not using the same logic and methodology that Hanna and Barbera would have used.
It's not Hanna-Barbera. It's a Singaporean studio. It's basically anime if it were Tom and Jerry.
No! Don't animate Tom and Jerry. What the heck? No!
Oh, fuck that noise.
I absolutely agree with Greg. This is a travesty. I mean, I'm going to try and search it out because it's Tom and Jerry, but no! Don't try making Tom and Jerry for a new generation. I mean, you end up with the Tom and Jerry series from like 1975, and even worse, you end up with the Filmation version of it in 1980. And the less said about those two, the better.
Good thing we didn't bring up the Tom and Jerry movie.
I thought you were going to say the Tom and Jerry cartoon movie from like 10 years ago where they did The Wizard of Oz, and there was something else they did.
Oh, they did Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, that's what. Are you sure it's not? Wait. Are you sure it's not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Just
moving on.
No, I'm 100% sure, Mike. It's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, but yeah, I remember that. Haven't seen. Or no, actually, I think I did see it because it aired on like Boomerang or some cartoon channel, either Cartoon Network or Boomerang. Good heavens. That's all I can say about that is just good heavens, good riddance. I didn't need that in my life. All right, let's move on. Enough waxing poetically about Tom and Jerry and what the hell they're doing with it nowadays. Episode 12 is titled The Spy. The hospital staff pampers a very important patient after they decide he's out to get Dr. Campanelli fired. Playing Norman in this episode is Larry Storch, Corporal Agarn on F Troop, but known for so much more than that. And talking about cartoon abominations, Warner Brothers in like the late 60s, good heavens, I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but it seems like one of their most relied upon voice actors was Larry Storch. Cool Cat. That's all I'm saying. There's a character that Warner Brothers used in Looney Tunes and whatnot in the late 60s called Cool Cat, and he is like your stereotypical, I almost want to say beatnik, even though it's a hippie generation thing, but no, Larry Storch, I know you probably need the money, but good heavens, that is not your best work. And now everybody's going to race to see who the heck is Cool Cat and why is it so bad? Oh, it's one of the few things on the Looney Tunes hours that me TV shows that I just flip the channel because it just annoys the living stink out of me. Episode 13 is titled The New Head Nurse. The staff plans to get rid of the new head nurse, who is a holy terror that doesn't like men, by convincing her that Dr. Campanelli is a woman chaser. Oh, jeez. So you've got this chief of staff who is like really hard set in his ways, and you're going to say that he's a woman chaser. Oh my gosh. Hilarity definitely ensues. Playing Dr. Larkin, who is not the head nurse, is somebody we talked about not that long ago. Frank Letter. Not really known for much in terms of acting. He was married for almost 16 years to Lee Merriweather. Episode 14 is titled RX Christmas. Hey, it's a Christmas episode, and the prescription is, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's mistletoe. Let's find out. The staff prepares a Christmas holiday show with a comic who promised to do a benefit performance. That comic, Tip Henry, is played by Pat Harrington Jr. So again, give him about 3 years, and he'll have the role of a lifetime. He played Schneider on One Day at a Time, but known for so much more than that. Playing a reporter, and this is somebody we've talked about in the past, is Stephanie Edwards. I think she still does Los Angeles morning news shows at one of the stations, but we talked about her because she played one of the friends of Sally Field on The Girl with Something Extra.
Hey, Mike, do you remember my Sterling version of the Girl with Something Extra theme song?
No, I'm not going to ask you to do a rendition of it because just do it. You're going to do it anyhow.
Sally feels she's got something extra, something extra, something extra. And also there's something extra, something extra. Yeah.
I must have missed that theme song when I'm watching the reruns on MeTV Plus. Episode 15 is titled Scalpel Sponge Typewriter. One of these things just doesn't belong. No, doctor, why are you hitting me with the typewriter? I'd rather be cut by the scalpel or wiped down with the sponge. A staff newspaper comes out with Orderly Lefkowitz writing a scandal feature that offends everyone. Good job, Bernie Capel. And we do actually have one more name besides him in this episode. Playing Jerome is Richard X. Slattery. We talked about him, about 5.5 months ago because he played Captain Buckner, the superior to CPO Sharkey on the second season of CPO Sharkey. Going to episode 16, it's titled Black is Beautiful. Well, black don't crack, we all know that. Dr. Nolan becomes infatuated with a new nurse and stops his clowning when he discovers she doesn't like his snappy patter. Pretty big name, and this is another person. Wait about a year and a half. He's going to hit it really big. Playing Gibson is
Tom Bosley!
I'm sorry, Stewie got a hold of something and came into the podcast and had to let us know about Tom Bosley. I also feel compelled for some reason. Don't ask me why, but I think we need to mention the Father Dowling mysteries for some reason. He wasn't just Howard Cunningham, for heaven's sakes. He was also Father Dowling. And for that matter, wait till your father gets home. Episode 17 is titled How to Cure a Doctor of Money. I got the answer to that. Marry a gold digger wife.
But Mike, Donna Mills is not on this show, even though it has Joan Van Ork in it.
I love how Greg comes through with the timely Knots Landing response. That's great. A former professional football player has just started his internship at the hospital, but his old coach keeps offering him financial security at a time he is struggling.
Well, remember, guys, this is the days when pro football players made jack shit.
Yeah, absolutely not wrong. We do have a name in this episode playing Mr. Cooper. Man, if it's Mark Curry, I'm going to absolutely love it. But it's not Mark Curry. Mr. Cooper's played by Craig Littler, who would go on in about 5 years to be Jason of Star Command. And actually, he would have been reasonably young. I wonder if he was the football player. Episode 18 is titled Interrupted Malady. After a patient takes $200 from an orderly in a game of gin rummy, Dr. Nolan pretends to be a patient with an ulcer to flush out the card shark. I did not know that gin rummy was actually played for money. If I knew that, I would have actually started trying to capitalize off of that many decades ago. What can I say? I like my gin rummy. Bernie Capello returns as Lefkowitz. That's going to take us to episode 19, which is titled Diagnosis? Who knows? Dr. Nolan has to deal with the fellow physician who is very unsure of himself. They together have a patient that they believe is faking his symptoms, but are having difficulty proving it. No guests of note, so that'll take us to episode 20, Panic in the Sheets. But enough about how I spent my night last night. Never mind. Dr. Nolan puts a wedding couple in the Oh, hey, it's a newlywed couple. That explains why there's probably panic in the sheets. Never mind. Dr. Nolan puts a newlywed couple in the VIP suite, unaware that an ailing senator is being admitted for a top-secret visit. And hilarity ensues. Playing Scott in this episode, Greg, you mentioned this person earlier, Anthony Geary. So not only was he on Barnaby Jones around this time, I think that was like 76 when he was on, but he was in Temperatures Rising.
Yeah, he was preparing before he went on to visit Port Charles. He was going to try to figure out how does a hospital work.
One more name I want to add playing Mr. Peabody is Burt Mustin. Not really a big well-known name, but I mentioned Adam 12 earlier because at least until school ended, which was earlier today, every morning I'd watch Adam 12 while getting ready for work. Burt Mustin is a name that appeared a couple of times, only on 5 episodes, but again, it's a name that once I saw it, it's like, hey, he was on Adam 12. Adam 12 is my police drama wings. I should just do all my wings at this point. But instead, we're going to just move on because time's a factor. Episode 21 is titled, Hey, it's another RX. Anybody want to guess what they're getting a prescription for this time? That's right, a nose job. RX nose job. Millie doesn't have money to pay for the nose surgery she desires. Dr. Nolan arranges for a special closed-circuit TV arrangement to help her out. Nobody of note there, so we're going to just head over to episode 22, titled My Doctor, the Patient. Dr. Nolan starts an off-track betting operation in the hospital when Dr. Campanelli becomes a patient. Oh, that's not going to end well. We know how Dr. Campanelli feels about gambling. And again, nobody of note there, so we're going to go to episode 23, Creepy Peepee. Oh my gosh, Creepy Peepee. But enough about what Stormy Daniels saw. Never mind. Dr. Nolan wants to cheer up one of his young patients. The doctor brings in an old-time horror film star to entertain the children, but his effort ends up backfiring on him. One name of note, not a big name, but playing Donald, who is one of the kids in this episode, based on what I know about this person, is Mark Coppage. Mark Coppage played Corey Baker, Julia's son, on the landmark sitcom of the late 60s and early 70s, Julia. Episode 24 of season 1, we're almost there, is It Don't Mean a Ping If You Ain't Got That Pong. A lovelorn Chinese ping pong player causes diplomatic problems when she decides to defect and marry Nurse Ellen. Larry Storch returns in this episode, but now as Norman Fry. Episode 25 of season 1 is Super Doc. Dr. Campanelli's revered teacher visits the hospital and takes over driving his protege crazy. Nobody of note there, so we're going to go to episode 26. And as I told Greg and Chico before this episode, this, I think, is the third or fourth episode of any show that we've done that used this title, Gorilla of My Dreams. That was definitely used on Me and the Chimp, because that's like stupid obvious, but I know we've done at least one or two more episodes with the Gorilla of My Dreams title. And no, Mike Francesa is not a guest in this. Hospital monkey business concerning a lowly gorilla and her injured keeper. The injured keeper is in the hospital, and the gorilla is kind of sad because the keeper is not there. So obviously some monkey business happens. Ha 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 ha. So that ends season 1, finally. So now in season 2, there's a revamping. There's some new cast members. Let's get into that right now. And this is going to be 13 episodes for the first revamp. We have Paul Lynde, as we mentioned earlier, as Dr. Paul Mercy. Sudie Bond as Martha Mercy. Wait, is this Paul's wife? Paul's married in this?
Again? He was married in the Paul Lynde
No,
show?
it's his mother.
Oh, that's even worse.
And then Barbara Cason is Miss Tillis. Jennifer Darling is Nurse Wendy Winchester. John Daner is Dr. Charles Cleveland Claver. Jeff Morrow is Dr. Lloyd Axton. And Cleveland Little is Dr. Jerry Nolan. And Jerry Hauser has a recurring role as an intern named Haskell. So we're doing a little bit of house cleaning here. And actually, before we get to season 2, I have some ratings numbers for season 1. And I got 3 different weeks here. I've got one of the early weeks. I'm guessing this is like week 2. Out of 61 shows, Temperatures Rising came in at 53rd. It did beat some pretty big name shows. It beat The Brady Bunch. It beat The Streets of San Francisco.
A Quinn Martin production.
It beat Mannix, and it beat the new Dick Van Dyke Show. And all of them had reasonably significant runs, at least 4 seasons for each of them. I think maybe the Dick Van Dyke Show was 3 seasons, but it had like close to 80 episodes or 75 episodes. It had a very lengthy run. And then the next week I have is from middle of October of 1972. So this, I'm guessing, is probably around episode 4, episode 5. Out of 62 shows, Temperatures Rising tied with Bonanza at 38th. So quite a bit better. And beat a lot of like really good shows. It beat the Paul Lynde show. Go figure. Because that's right, Paul Lynde would have been doing this in 72. And then 73, he came over and did this. But a lot of good shows. Sonny and Cher did worse than it. Streets of San Francisco. The Odd Couple. Well, Odd Couple wasn't a big series until it got to reruns. And then the last week I have is from April of 1973. So I'm venturing that this is rerun season. Out of 63 shows, it finished 46th. But again, beating shows like The Paul Lynde Show and Mod Squad. But I think this is the end of Mod Squad. I think it was done in 73. And Marcus Welby, MD, Mission Impossible, another one that I think was close to being off the air in 73. So its ratings were mid, as the kids would say. I don't have numbers for ratings in the second season. So who knows? I'm guessing it didn't do much better because, well, again, there's a reason we're talking about it on this podcast. So we got 13 episodes for this second incarnation. Let's jump right in with episode 1, which is The Misguided Appendectomy. Hilarity ensues, removing an appendix. I can just tell. Paul Lynde as Dr. Mercy joins Cleavon Little and a revamped supporting cast in the second season where Noland removes the appendix of a thief and Mercy searches the hospital for him. Nobody of note there, so we're going to just go to episode 2 of season 2, which is The Oldest Living American. Dr. Claver brings Luke Shaw, a 125-year-old Civil War veteran, into Capitol Hospital for a physical.
Wait, 125 years old?
They're taking some real liberties here. Yeah, 125-year-old Civil War veteran.
Wait, hold on. What's the secret? He got the super soldier serum like Steve Rogers?
I got nothing. I don't think anybody has ever lived, at least in recorded history, past like 120 or 121, and this guy's 125 years old.
I'm looking at the cast. I can't even find somebody who could pass for 125 in
No, Chico. I found it. This is great. We have a couple of names in this episode. First, I'm going to go with the person who has no character name because this is by far the bigger guess. But Hal Williams from 227 was on this episode. And he also played Smitty on Sanford and Son. So actually, that would have been on around this time. The old man, though. Seriously, if we look back at all the episodes we've done and all the different characters that we've talked about, this person definitely would rank as a person that I could see playing a 125-year-old man. Even though realistically at this time, I think he would have only been in his 50s. And doing a little bit of quick math, he would have been like 54 at the time, not even joking. Playing the old man by the name of Luke Shaw, Patrick Cranshaw. We're talking Blue from Old School.
And mind you, this is a good 30 years before Old School. So that tells you he was pretty old back then, too.
Well, like I said, he's 54 at this point. But also, I think I mentioned in the past when we talked about Patrick Cranshaw that going back to Adam 12, because seemingly everything with me goes back to Adam 12 on this episode, he played like a 85 or 90-year-old man on an episode of Adam 12. And again, at that point, he had to be like 50 or 51. My age. And he looked like an 85-year-old man. Patrick Cranshaw is the man who just like aged badly and just like looked like death for about 35 years. But yeah, that is the perfect role. You need an old man. Let's get this 54-year-old person who looks like he's like 94, or in this case, 125. Good casting, if you ask me. That'll take us to episode 3 in season 2, which is titled The Strike. A strike is threatened by the nurses and orderlies if Dr. Mercy doesn't meet their demand for higher pay. We do have Jerry Hauser playing that intern Haskell, and he's really the only person of note. So we're going to just hop on over to episode 4, which is a classic case. Of what? The of what is added by me. It's just called a classic case. When a healthy patient is put in traction due to a misread x-ray, Dr. Mercy fears a malpractice suit against Capitol Hospital. Oh no, he's gonna sue me for malpractice. Oh, something like that. That'll take us to episode 5 of season 2, which is We Ain't Got No Buddy. In order to get an emergency crash cart for the hospital, Dr. Nolan creates a mythical heart patient that dies and then blames the death on lack of equipment. The ploy appears to work until an autopsy is ordered on the fictional corpse, and hilarity ensues. Episode 6 is titled The Mothers. Nolan's nosy mother persuades Mercy's mother not to move out and retire to the country. And playing Nolan's nosy mother, again, give her not that long, give her about 2 years, and she's got the role of a lifetime. Isabel Sanford. And playing Timmy, don't know what Timmy's role in all this is, but Timmy was played by Scatman Crothers. Episode 7 is titled Gonna Getcha. Dr. Mercy starts to receive anonymous threats against his life. Richard X. Slattery, who we talked about earlier, is in this episode, but he doesn't have a character name. But we do have another character with no character name, but is somebody we've talked about quite a bit, and I think this person's in our Hall of Fame. We're talking about Cliff Norton. Huddles from Where's Huddles. Hey! Huddles from Where's Huddles, and we had the neighbor on Where's Huddles in this episode too, in Paul Lynde. It's a reunion of Where's Huddles? How about that? And one more name playing Mrs. Miller in this episode is Nita Talbot. She's been on a little bit of everything. 27 episodes of General Hospital back in the 80s and 90s. She was on 5 episodes of Super Train. She was Rose Casey. That's where I have heard of her. Episode 8 of Season 2 is titled The Night Shift. When Dr. Mercy tries working late, he is beset by bizarre interruptions. Getting a little bit deeper, I'm going off the Wikipedia listing for this now. Mercy and Nolan are working the night shift at the hospital and have to deal with an appendectomy patient who thinks he is dying. When the patient climbs out onto a ledge and threatens to jump, although he's only on the 2nd floor, Nolan, Mercy, Tillis, and Winchester each make an attempt to bring him in. However, he demands to see Dr. Claver, who has gone to his nephew's wedding. Claver eventually returns in a state of intoxication and yet insists on performing the appendectomy operation. I would have thought Dick Wilson would have been the drunk person in this episode, but no, it's Dr. Claver. And actually playing that patient is Ronnie Shell. Probably best known for being on Gomer Pyle. He was Gomer's best friend on Gomer Pyle. Episode 9 of Season 2 is titled Mercy the Surgeon. After boasting to Judge Traeger that he is a great heart surgeon, the judge comes to him for an operation. No character name, sadly, but Lynn Marie Stewart is in this episode. We'd all probably best know her as Charlie's mom on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or Missy Vaughn on Pee-wee's Playhouse, and she just passed away within the last 4 months or so. Absolutely beloved actress. Episode 10 of Season 2 is The Physical. Dr. Paul Mercy's Physical has him singing the VD Blues. I think that deserves an uh-oh. The VD Blues? Uh-oh.
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 Episode 11 of Season 2 is titled The Donation. When the father of a wealthy family decides to leave his body to medical science, Dr. Mercy fears the loss of their financial support. No character name for this person, but Mary Kay Place is in this episode. She played Loretta Haggers on 325 episodes of Mary Hartman. But she's done so much more. I've recognized that name, Mary Kay Place, and I say this pun unintended. I couldn't put her name to a certain place. Episode 12 of Season 2 is titled Four of a Kind. Mercy plans to reap a public relations windfall for Capitol Hospital from the birth of quadruplets. Nobody there of note, so we're going to go to episode 13. This is the final episode of Incarnation number 2, Operation Mercy. Dr. Mercy must have minor throat surgery, and his fear makes him a terrible patient. And we actually have somebody playing a little girl in this episode. This person's been famous for going on 60 years, which I think is absolutely amazing, given she's only been around for 62 years. Talking about Kim Richards. Again, where can we start with her? She was on Hello Larry. She was the daughter on Hello Larry. But also, I think where a lot of people know her from is the meme with her sister yelling and pointing at Smudge.
I think we've talked about it. I don't think she's the one. She's holding the woman back.
Well, yeah, I didn't say she was the person who was pointing. That was her sister. But I thought she was the person holding back her sister from, that pointing or whatnot. But it's definitely Kim Richards' sister, Kyle Richards, who's the one that's pointing at the cat.
No, I don't think she's the one pointing. I think she's holding the person back.
Okay. But regardless, Kyle Richards has some role in this meme that's been going crazy for 10 years.
Which we did not realize was not about a cat initially in the original clip.
That's 13 episodes, and lo and behold, we get another reboot once the show returns as a summer replacement. Episode 13 aired on January 8th of 1974. It had a little hiatus, and it came back July 18th of 1974 with a few changes. We still have Paul Lynde as Dr. Paul Mercy, but now Alice Ghostly is Nurse Edwina Moffat, Nancy Fox is Nurse Ellen Turner, Barbara Rucker's Nurse Kelly, and Cleavon Little's still there. So another little revamp. Did it make a difference? Well, I think we know the answer to that without even addressing that question. Episode 14 is Big Brother. Dr. Mercy spies on the staff with a television surveillance system. Episode 15 is titled, Is There a Lady Doctor in the House? Chauvinist Dr. Mercy falls for a liberated female doctor. Craig Littler returns in this episode as Dr. Ritchie. He would have been a really young doctor. Well, actually, not really, because he was born in 41, so that would have made him 33. I really didn't think he looked that old because I thought he was only like in his late 20s when he did Jason of Star Command. But apparently he was closer to 37. Episode 16 of Season 2 is titled Kid Genius. The hospital is sued when a precocious and obnoxious child concert pianist is frightened into a traumatic state. Alan Oppenheimer returns as a character named Carl Blackstrong, but playing that piano virtuoso, Robbie Rist, Cousin Oliver. Well, I should give the character name. He played Theodore Turner, but again, Cousin Oliver, that's it. That's all you need to say. Give him like literally a month after this aired, and he'd be one of the most reviled television characters in history. Episode 17 of Season 2 is The Three Faces of Edwina. Edwina borrows money from her brother for plastic surgery that she is convinced is necessary. Playing Harriet in this episode is Ann Mira, Mrs. Jerry Stiller, or Ben Stiller's mama if you want to go that route. Episode 18 of Season 2 is titled Healer Man. A country western singer who is treated by Mercy for a broken leg suffered at a motorcycle accident writes a song in the doctor's honor. I'm laughing on the inside thinking about what the song could be about Paul Lynde. I'm going to also assume this is the country western singer in question playing Billy Joe. Just sounds like a country singer name. This guy, though, I don't think he'd be a good country singer, but who knows. Dick Gautier, we're talking Jaime from Get Smart, and we're also talking about Robin Hood from When Things Were Rotten. Episode 19 of Season 2 is titled Shafted. A pregnant woman who is about to deliver becomes trapped when a hospital elevator breaks down. Hey, at least the elevator broke down and just wasn't there, unlike Dinah Muldaur. Episode 20 is titled Mercy Beaucoup. Dr. Mercy initially turns down a promotion overseeing a chain of 23 hospitals, but rethinks the offer when he believes the staff does not want him to stay. Edward Platt returns, but this time he plays a character called Judson. And believe it or not, that is 46 episodes. Took a long time to get there. We talked about the ratings earlier, at least for Season 1. I couldn't find any Season 2 ratings, but needless to say, the ratings were not that good in the first season, and I'm sure it's fair to presume that the ratings didn't get any better in the second season, even with the revamp, or especially because of the revamp, and then the revamp. Usually ratings don't tend to change just because you switched around the deck chairs in the Titanic. It's still going to sink. So we can't really look at ratings in this case, but what we can do is we can take a look at the schedule. For this first season, Temperatures Rising aired at 8 p.m. on Tuesday nights on ABC. I see at least one reason why this show did not get good ratings, but I'm going to start off with what NBC offered first. In the fall, you had Bonanza, the first half hour of Bonanza, and this would have been the final season of Bonanza, so I'm going to guess ratings were not that good for the final season of like a series that ran 14 seasons. And then in winter, after Bonanza's cancellation in January of 73, it was the first half hour of a 2-hour NBC Tuesday Night at the Movies. On CBS, though, and this would have been, I believe, first season of Maude. And Maude was the fourth-ranked show in television in the 1972-73 season. So you're not getting past Maude. But again, it did return for a second season. To start Temperatures Rising, at this point called the New Temperatures Rising Show, like that's going to bring in more viewers, it aired again Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. So guess what? It's going up against Maude again, the 6th rated show in television for 1973 and 74. On NBC in the fall, it went up against something called Chase, the first half hour of that. But in the winter, Chase got replaced, at least in the 8 o'clock slot. Hey, how about we do another Adam 12 mention, because that's what replaced it. So you had Maude and Adam 12 going up against the New Temperatures Rising show. This would have been the second to last season of Adam 12. But it still got decent ratings. It was 23rd in the ratings for the 73-74 season. But when it returned in the summer, it came back on Thursday nights. Again, 8 p.m. On NBC, it went up against the first half hour of the Mac Davis show. But on CBS, you're not beating the first half hour of The Waltons, which was the second highest rated series on television for 1973/74. It seems like anywhere it went, it was dead. You go against Maude for the first season and a half, it doesn't work out. Okay, let's put you on Thursday nights in the summer with this revamp, and you're only going up against the Waltons, America's beloved family at this point. There's bad luck and there's having no luck at all. Let's see if you guys know this. When New Temperatures Rising show left in January of 1974, what new show did it get replaced with?
It was Happy Days.
The man's exactly right. And that was the 16th rated show for the 1973-74 season. So maybe Temperatures Rising wasn't what it's all cracked up to be.
Well, if I may, I think we have a case of network meddling, because you said it yourself, the show did not do terribly in the first season. It did well enough to get a second season, but James Whitmore wanted to leave, and ABC wanted Paul Lynde in that position. But William Asher did not want Paul Lynde in that position, so he left. And Paul Lynde got into the position, and the show tanked, so ABC had to beg William Asher to come back and fix what they broke.
That's like when Bud Grant left the Minnesota Vikings and the team collapsed, and they had to desperately bring him back for a season.
What can we say about Temperatures Rising? Good heavens, they could have stuck with the cast for the entire run. But as Chico just mentioned, there's reasons why it didn't. But doing 2 revamps in 2 seasons, or specifically both revamps were in 1973-74, that does not bode well for a television series. And unfortunately, Temperatures Rising was just a thing on TV. You can find us at our website, itwasathingontv.com, on Facebook at It Was a Thing on TV Podcast, and elsewhere at It Was a Thing on TV. You can find us in any podcast player, and we're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our releases, including what's coming up next time.
We're going to go back to 1984, when, speaking of Happy Days, somebody fresh off that show was in a new vehicle on the CBS television network. And it didn't do so hot on CBS, but it would go on to be hot later on in another outlet. What do you think we're talking about? Well, you'll just have to wait to find out next week, right here at It Was a Thing on TV. For myself, Greg, for Mike, and for Chico, we'll see you with that episode next week. Wow!
Watch the newest laugh riot of the season, Temperatures Rising, tomorrow.